네, 그럼 지금부터 힘차게 오후 세션 시작해.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to kick off the second session of the afternoon session. The session's theme is Jeju's marketing strategies and management and support plans in the endemic era. First, we will hear two speeches from foreign speakers, followed by a discussion. So first, we would like to invite Dean Professor Stowe Shoemaker from College of Hospitality, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. He was supposed to join us in person, but unfortunately, he is feeling a little under the weather. So he had to join us online. He might sound a little hoarse, and we would like to ask for your understanding. But he has taken time to join us in spite of his not such a good condition. So we really want to appreciate him. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Hello,
학장님,
Yes.
thank you for joining us today despite your busy schedule. And if you're ready, now you have the floor.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to be at your presentation today. And I'm very sorry that I'm not there in person, but I ended up getting quite ill. And so I've had to stay home and on medication. So I very much apologize for not being there in person. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, we can hear you well, and we see your slides, but can you please make it into full screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'm going to try not to cough throughout this presentation. So I'm glad you're all wearing masks. But again, I apologize for not being there in person. So as was mentioned, my name is Stowe Shoemaker, and I'm the Dean at the William F. Harrer College of Hospitality here at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And I was asked to give a talk today a little bit to provide historical perspective on gaming revenue versus other revenues in Las Vegas. I went to Jeju Island a few years ago giving a presentation, and I just see a lot of parallels between Jeju Island and Las Vegas in the sense that you're both a tourist destination. You have beautiful properties. When I talk to our Korean students here at the university, and I mentioned Jeju Island, they're all excited and they say, yes, that's kind of the real vacation spot in Korea. And when people talk about Las Vegas, they talk about it's the same, that it's very much a vacation destination. Excuse me. But when we think about Las Vegas, the first thing that always comes to mind is gambling. But what's important to understand is that Las Vegas has done so much more than gambling over the last, really, its history in terms of promoting itself. And right now, one of the things that makes Las Vegas such an attractive destination is it's an international airport, obviously, with direct flights to Europe, Asia, and South America. And of course, there's direct flights to Korea. If I speak too fast, I'll try to slow down because I know we're doing some translations. But, excuse me, Las Vegas is many things. It's shopping. We have some of all the major brands are located in Las Vegas. And there's multiple shopping areas. Many of the casino properties have their own shopping areas. Plus, there's about 3 or 4 different shopping malls that all cater towards tourists. And it's interesting thing about shopping is that you can pretty much buy anything in the world right at your own home. But when you're on vacation, money is different. And there's a famous article that was written called Mental Accounting. And it basically said that people have budgets in their mind. I have my budget for my daily expenses. I have my budget for my rent. I have my vacation money. And money is different in each of those accounts. So when I'm on vacation, I see something, I'm more likely to buy it when I'm on vacation, where if I saw it at home, I might not buy it. And so this idea that people spend more when they're traveling is why shopping is such a big thing in Las Vegas. But Vegas also means business. And that's one of the taglines for the Las Vegas Visitors and Conventions Bureau. We have some of the convention space that really is second to none in the United States. And we keep building more and more convention space. So not only do we have the Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Bureau has tons of space, I think over 600,000 square feet, but many of the hotels have their own convention space. So we see so many meetings in Las Vegas. But we've also gone beyond just meetings. Excuse me, very apologize for that. We've also really gone into sports. So starting next year, Formula One will be held in Las Vegas. And Formula One is building their North American kind of base in Las Vegas. So they have I think a 10-year agreement to be in Vegas for Formula One. We also have incredible entertainment. One of the things that's major in Las Vegas are the residencies. So Celine Dion really started that with her residency at Caesars. Adele is doing a residency, and many of the different casinos, because they have so much entertainment space, they have their own actors, theater people just come and have a residency there. So it used to be that if I was talent and I was a recording artist, I would travel around to different cities so that my fans could hear me sing. Well, what's happened now is instead of me going out to my fans, I'm making my fans come to me by coming to Las Vegas. And not only do they get to see me as an entertainer, but they get everything else that is involved with Las Vegas. So the idea of having a residency, it gives another reason for people to come to Las Vegas. Again, apologize for my illness. Las Vegas also has some of the top restaurants in the world. Many of the celebrity chefs have opened restaurants in Las Vegas. And again, the reason is because we see so many visitors from all over the world. It's a great opportunity for the famous chefs to have their restaurants. We also have Allegiant Stadium. This was a new stadium that was built just a couple of years ago that has 60,000 seats. And this is used for all sorts of things. We had a professional soccer match. I think Barcelona played Real Madrid like about a month ago, came and they played in Allegiant Stadium. They also have Elton John has played at Allegiant Stadium. They're bringing in the National Football League. Las Vegas Raiders plays there. We had a game there today where they had 60,000 people in for the stadium. And many of the people who came to the stadium came from out of town. So we played the New England Patriots, and probably I think they mentioned there was about 20,000 New England Patriots fans who had flown out from Boston to come to the game. And that happens every time we have a sporting event. And then the other sporting events that have come to Las Vegas, we have a National Hockey League, an American Hockey League. As I mentioned, we have NFL football, and we also have women's basketball. Now, because we have Allegiant Stadium, we're going to have the Final Four, which is a big event in the United States for college basketball. We're going to have the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. So the idea is that Las Vegas, in order to attract multiple people for coming there, they've had to give lots of different reasons to come. And so they built restaurants, they built entertainment, they built a big sports stadium. And so there's always a reason to come to Las Vegas instead of just gambling. Excuse me. So let me show you a commercial that kind of highlights some of this. And I'll have to share. I'll stop sharing and I'll share another screen with you. And I'll just give me a second while I try to pull this over.
Hi, it's Jessica. I just received your email. I'm changing planes. I'll be in LA in 2 hours. Oh, so there's no interview? Like permanently? Seven hours?
This is all background of Las Vegas. This is the Bellagio.
Welcome.
Yeah. Just me. Good.
Actually, excuse me, that was Caesar's Palace. Or that was Paris.
Jessica? Party of one? That's me. Party of one.
You love that you're traveling alone. Alone, you can soak up the world, have it all to yourself.
Just going in a few hours before I go home.
Are you crazy? You can't leave Vegas on a Friday.
Oh, my husband and kids.
When is the last time you actually took some time for yourself? It's one weekend.
What would I do?
What wouldn't you do? It's Las Vegas.
Darling, I'm far away, but I will be home real soon. And I found a smile on my face, 'cause I got to love me too. Darling, I don't forget the wonderful things you do. And I found a spring in my step, 'cause I got to love me too. Now I hear the bluebirds sing softly across the meadow. Now I hear the old bells ring, no matter where I go. Darling, I'm far away,
Yes, I like to order champagne.
but I will be home real soon.
Party of one.
And I found a smile on my face, 'cause I got to love me too.
Jessica. Oh, so the position is available. I'm gonna have to check my calendar. Bye-bye.
And I found a smile on my face, 'cause I got to love me too.
So that was all about,
Hi, it's Jessica. I just received
Let
your
me
email.
just stop that.
Changing planes. I'll be in LA in 2 hours.
excuse me one second, let me just try to stop that.
Oh, so there's no interview? Like permanently? Seven hours?
Okay. Let me go back to sharing my screen. So I think what's really great about that commercial is that it shows that there's so much to do in Las Vegas. And it was really about rejuvenation. And hopefully you could see that she was supposed to go to have a job interview. It got canceled. So rather than flying home, she kind of used the time to enjoy herself in Las Vegas. Now, I'm not going to show the other commercials because I'm afraid that I'll get tied in again and we won't be able to get back to the main part of the presentation. But the links are there and you can look at them. And again, the whole purpose of these ads is really to show that there's just so many things to do in Las Vegas, and gambling just happens to be one of the things. Now, when we look at, one of the things that I was asked to talk about, which how much money is really spent in Las Vegas. So I worked with the Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Bureau to gather some information on what is being spent in Las Vegas sort of pre-COVID and post-COVID. So, excuse me, obviously, COVID, was around 2020. But when we look at the direct visitor spending for rooms, in 2015, it was about $4.8 billion worth in terms of hotel rooms that people spent for rooms. In 2021, just last year, it's at 4.58. So it's definitely obviously below what was spent in 2019 and 2018. Now, Vegas keeps adding more rooms. And so eventually that number will continue to go up, but it'll go up mainly because we have more rooms available. But you can see that, in 2019, we had total spending was $5.8 billion in room revenue. When looking at food and beverage, at our height, consumers spent about $4.4 billion on food and beverage. And in 2000, and during the pandemic, that dropped quite a bit, obviously. Now in 2021, we're about 3.48. So it hasn't started to come back yet completely. But again, we have, not only do we have all the famous chefs, but we really have food and beverage for really any type of consumer. Obviously, there's all different types of restaurants in terms of cuisines, but also different price points. We have fast casual all the way up to very fine dining. So there's really something for everyone in terms of food and beverage. Excuse me again, I'm so sorry that I'm so sick. In terms of local transportation, almost $4.2 billion was spent in local transportation. And this involves obviously, Uber and Lyft and taxi cabs, obviously just people renting cars to drive around. And any type of transportation is used. Most people come to Vegas, a lot of people do end up renting cars. And then of course they use Uber or Lyft to go from casino to casino. Because while it's a small city, they're very long blocks. So most people don't walk all the way all over Las Vegas. They just take Uber. Excuse me again. Okay, in terms of shopping, whoops. Look at how shopping has just grown tremendously in 2021. So we went up to almost $9 billion worth of shopping in Las Vegas. And that's the highest it's ever been. And again, that's because we have all the major brands have their locations here. And so for retail, it's an incredible opportunity. And many, like Louis Vuitton and all the sort of real fashion houses, have all their products available in Las Vegas, either at one of the Crystal shopping mall or at the other shopping mall, or within the casinos themselves, all have shopping areas. And again, the important thing to remember is that when people travel, they have budgets for their vacation. And money that is in their vacation account is very different than money in their account their mental account that they have at home. And a good example is, like for me, like I bought a suitcase when I was on vacation. Now I could buy the same suitcase in the States when I'm at home in Las Vegas. And I thought, no, I don't want to spend that much money for a suitcase. But I'm over in, when I was in France, I saw this really nice suitcase. And I thought, well, I should buy it. And I didn't say to myself, well, wait a minute, how much am I paying for that suitcase? Can I get a different suitcase in the States or the same suitcase for a cheaper price? I say, no, I'm going to buy that suitcase now. And every time I use that suitcase, I think back at the time I bought it. And that gives me joy. And so what we always want to think about is remember that people will buy things on vacation that they won't buy at home. And we want to take advantage of that by giving them opportunities to buy the things, because it's not just buying the thing, it's the memory that comes with buying it. And as I just mentioned, every time I use that suitcase, I think of my time in France and buying it. So an important thing about shopping. Entertainment. Now, this is a wide category and includes really anything from, artists that we're going to see or the sporting events. And entertainment really dropped, obviously, during COVID, and it hasn't really started to come back yet in 2021. But we figure with next year it'll start to come back to where it used to be. But again, this whole idea of I can go to Las Vegas, I can see a show, I can see my favorite artist that I may not be able to see in my own hometown. Sightseeing. So sightseeing is obviously very important here in Las Vegas. And when we talk about sightseeing, Las Vegas is close to the Grand Canyon. It's close to Red Rock Canyon. And so there's lots of opportunities for bus trips, for helicopter trips around Las Vegas. We even have the wheel in Las Vegas. That's considered part of sightseeing, where to get it, you take the wheel. And it's kind of like, think of the London Eye or the Singapore wheel. But we have the high roller wheel in Las Vegas is considered part of sightseeing. One of the casinos, you can do bungee jumping off the stratosphere. That's considered sightseeing. You can actually even go skydiving in one of the areas. That's kind of considered entertainment/sightseeing. So again, the point I'm trying to make is that they've created this whole experience of things that you can do while you're in Las Vegas that gets you to spend money. Now, here's where we get into gaming. And gaming is really taken off, obviously. We've always been known for slot machines and table games. But now what's really taken off, of course, is sports betting, because sports betting is legal in the United States. And in 2021, we did almost $8.6 billion in gaming revenue. And that's across all areas, whether it's, again, slot machines, table games, sports betting. And that's what, Vegas was built on gaming. But again, there's so many other things that gaming just becomes sort of one other way to spend money. After the COVID, people started coming back. Gaming revenues just went crazy. Again, because people have been so cooped up that they wanted to be around people. They wanted to be on the casino floor, either playing slots or playing table games. Other revenue came in at about 3.5. And this is just spending that people make without really that didn't fit into any one of the other categories. And it could just be things you're buying in the casino shops, or stuff like that. Just how did the money come out of my wallet? So here's kind of the direct spending. So the total spending, when you sum up all those different things I just showed you. In 2015, consumers spent about $30 billion in Las Vegas. In 2026, or 2021, excuse me, they spent $36 billion. Now, obviously, part of that higher value is because prices went up from 2015 to 2021. But you can see we're almost at the same revenue we were pre-COVID, which just really shows that in Las Vegas, what we found is there's this kind of what's been known as revenge travel. People were so tired of being cooped up that they said, we're going to go to Vegas and we're just going to go have fun and spend a lot of money. And you can see they're spent about the same amount of money in 2021 as spent in 2019. And the projection for 2022, it's even going to be even higher because the casinos have been very busy this last year. Excuse me again. Okay, in terms of how long people stay, in 2021, visitors stayed an average of 3.6 nights and 4 days. And that was up, from 3.4 nights and 4.4 days in 2018 and 2019. Again, I really apologize for being so sick. The way you would look at this chart, and it's kind of hard to see, but these slides are available for you. The green is the 2016, and kind of the blue, the really dark one at the bottom is 2021. And you can see the average times people stayed. So like in 2016, the average stay was 4.4 days. In 2021, it was 4.6 days. So about the same. And in terms of nights stayed, you can see that in 2016, people stay an average of about 2016, they stayed an average of 3.4 nights. And in 2021, they stayed an average about 3.6. So roughly all about the same. I put myself on mute so that way you don't have to hear me cough. And again, my apologies. So that's kind of my presentation. A lot of numbers, I realize, but hopefully you can begin to see that a lot of revenue being spent in Las Vegas, and most of it is not just gaming, it's all kinds of things. So when we think about, an island like Jeju Island, which is so beautiful, it's really people coming there for vacation. What are the things that we can offer them that makes them want to come back and spend lots of money? And that's what Las Vegas has done. I will take time now for questions.
Thank you very much for that
I'm
presentation. We'd like to open up the floor now. If we do have a question, we will hand over to you, Dean. 네, 여러분 혹시 질문 있으신 분 계실까요? 손 들.
Please raise your hand if you have any questions.
네, 질문이 없으신 것 같은.
It seems like there's no question from the audience, so I would like to conclude the presentation now.
Session right here. Once again, thank you very much to Mr. Shoemaker for that wonderful presentation. Thank you. 네, 고맙습니다. Thank you so much.
And again, I really apologize for being sick and not being to be there in person. I really wanted to be there because I love Korea. You're such a wonderful, nice people. And we have lots of our students are Koreans and living there. So again, my sincere apologies.
No, thank you for joining us today. Let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Shoemaker. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
네, 고맙습니다. 이렇게 첫 번째.
Thank you very much. He was definitely feeling under the weather, but he has given us a very insightful presentation. about the tourism industry as a whole in Las Vegas. He has shared some marketing strategies as well. I'm sure his presentation is going to be very helpful as Jeju formulates its own marketing strategy. Now we'll move on to the next presentation by another foreign speaker. He is joining us through video. From Inside Asian Gaming, Omedia Company Limited, Vice Chairman and CEO Andrew Scott has joined us, and he will talk about the response to international IR to the pandemic and post-pandemic era.
Well, hello, everybody, and I'm very, very happy to be speaking to you at the Jeju conference. I really wish I was there in person. I really miss going to Korea during the period of the pandemic. 3 years now, a very long time. And I'd love to see how things are going up in Jeju. Of course, you have Shinhwa there. And I'd love to even get to Incheon to see how Paradise is going and the new properties that will be opening there in Incheon. Of course, we have the Mohegan Sun property and also the RNF property, the former Caesars property. So in 2023, I will be traveling substantially around Asia. I'll be traveling a great deal, and Korea is definitely on my list of places to go. So I will definitely be up there in 2023, and I hope at this event next year, I can actually join you in person. That would be great to do so. But in the meantime, here's my presentation. I hope you find it interesting. And please, if you're not subscribed to IAG, please do visit our website, asgam.com, asgam.com, and get breakfast briefing every day because it's the best source of news about the IR industry in Asia. So enjoy. I hope you're having a good time at the conference, and please enjoy the presentation. Thank you. Hi everyone, my presentation today is on the response of international IRs, and particularly IRs in Asia, to the pandemic and the post-pandemic era. Now that we are coming out of the pandemic and even China appears to be backing off on its zero COVID policy, we're seeing a recovery throughout Asia and the world. So 2023 will be a great recovery year, and it's a great time to talk about the recovery and how integrated resorts around the region are responding to a post-pandemic world. So I've got here the four sort of largest integrated resort areas in Asia. We have Australia, we have the Philippines, we have Singapore, and of course we have Macau. And Macau traditionally has been the largest by far. Pre-pandemic, $36.5 billion in GGR, way bigger than anywhere else in the world. But during the pandemic, that's come right back to as little as $5 billion per year, which is a very similar number to what we're seeing in the Philippines and Singapore and Australia. So a booming Australia, a booming Singapore, and a booming Philippines are equal to a crippled Macau. But of course, the difference is the investment in Singapore, Australia, and the Philippines is all around $10 billion US, whereas the investment in Macau is $45 billion US. So Macau has to get a much greater return to have the same ROI. Anyway, let's move on to the next slide. So here's a brief summary of those four regions, which I think are the four major regions, IR regions in Asia. And you can see there the logos of the major IR operators, the companies that run one or more integrated resort in those regions, and the responses to the pandemic and to the upcoming and newly started, I guess, post-pandemic era that I will be discussing will be the responses primarily of these companies. So let's start with the tactics during the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, it was a once-in-a-century occurrence. It was the sort of thing that we have never seen before, and hopefully we never see again. And companies had to respond in a major way to the pandemic. And they implemented a really large range of tactics. And when I spoke at this conference last year, I outlined a number of these tactics. And I think it's worth reiterating these tactics and going through and understanding them, because if ever there is a pandemic again, some of these tactics will apply. Some of these tactics may apply even not in a pandemic situation, but in a different kind of situation. And some of these tactics might be useful in a post-pandemic era, even though the pandemic may be over, but people might be in a more heightened state of mind towards health issues and that sort of thing. So some of these tactics may still be relevant even post-pandemic. So let's quite quickly go through them. So the health declaration we saw widely used, particularly in Macau, with a kind of a traffic light system, green, yellow and red, with an app on people's phones. And that was a widely used thing in Macau and in other jurisdictions as well. Handing out free hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer was everywhere and it made people feel good, especially when we thought that spreading the virus through hand contact and through phone-mates was a big issue. Of course, face masks were a massive defence against the pandemic, and we saw surgical style face masks, particularly mandated for staff and players too, but particularly staff. Temperature screening at entries to casino floors and to the integrated resorts generally became ubiquitous. We saw it everywhere and became a legal requirement in many places. Social distancing and social distancing measures. So trying to keep people apart from each other, markings on the floor, one-way directional signage to keep people moving in the same direction. Those sort of things was widely spread throughout the pandemic. Deep cleaning. We saw a very, very heightened sense of cleanliness through the pandemic, and we saw very deep cleaning that we might only see once a quarter in hotel rooms was happening after every guest left. So and was being seen to happen as well. It was very important that players and customers and tourists could see that cleanliness was a big issue to operators. Disinfectant sanitisation. So all of a sudden, disinfecting was more important than having a pleasant environment. So even if that created a smell, almost like a hospital smell, players seemed to prefer this over a nicer, more pleasant smell, but not being quite sure how clean surfaces were. Thermal screening was another application. So if you didn't want to have the intrusiveness of taking somebody's temperature, thermal screening at various different points was used. And of course, you could see whether people were having a fever or a temperature without having to be as invasive as to take their temperature. This sort of thing beforehand we only ever saw at airports, but now we were seeing it at integrated resorts and casinos. A lot of contactless initiatives. So anything that would minimise a person touching another person or another thing. So we saw a lot of use of QR codes. Menus in restaurants suddenly became scanned rather than physical objects, and all sorts of ways of transacting within an integrated resort environment using contactless methods became very, very popular. Here's an interesting one, high efficiency filters and UV germicidal irradiators. So we even got sort of quite specialised health equipment and publicised the fact that they were being used in integrated resorts. We saw a lot of this in the Philippines, actually, and a lot of money was spent on sort of very specialised health and medical equipment that beforehand we would never have even considered. Dedicated hygiene managers, so members of staff, managers whose job was to make sure there was compliance with hygiene initiatives and to develop new hygiene initiatives. So this was a role beforehand that was not really on staff at all. Maybe it was just housekeeping or environmental services, but these managers were specifically to make sure that hygiene levels were good. A lot of occupancy limits. So governments would mandate 50% of normal, 75% of normal, 25% of normal. So this was effectively a way to create social distancing and to lessen the density of people in certain areas, be they lobbies, hotels, restaurants, and other facilities. Hygiene monitoring testing. So members of staff going around and swabbing certain surfaces and then testing those samples for hygiene, something that you wouldn't normally see. But before the pandemic, if you saw that, you would be worried that there was some kind of problem. But now, during the pandemic, it became almost a way to market, to advertise, to show players that, look, we're really taking care of you and making sure that our surfaces and our property are very, very clean indeed. In Singapore, they created a thing called the Trace Together app. And in Hong Kong, actually, there was an equivalent, the Leave Home Safe app. So basically contact tracing apps. So if somebody became infected, these apps would help the health departments and the governments to find ways that they could figure out who were close contacts in recent history, and that they could then try to track down and minimise any outbreak through that. Of course, this was a government initiative rather than an integrated resort initiative, but still integrated resorts would support this and would be, these apps would be required to be used on entering integrated resorts. Vaccination, of course, a very important measure. And once we did develop vaccines about a year into the pandemic, which was in record time, many governments mandated, not mandated vaccines, but had vaccine requirements to do certain things. Staff rostering and routine testing, or closed loop staffing. So staffing would be rostered on into groups so that there wouldn't be cross-contamination between staff. So you might have an A group, a B group, a C group. So if there was an outbreak within staff, that outbreak would hopefully be contained to within that group, and there was very, very routine testing. It's hard to ask customers or players or visitors to your IR to be tested, but it's much easier to ask your staff as a condition of employment to be tested. So that high level of routine testing, daily testing was common in Macau and other places, gave players confidence that the place was clean and that people were negative. UVC lighting to disinfect surfaces and reduce bacteria was used particularly in the Philippines. Shoe sanitising at entry, mats with special sanitising mats to clean shoes on entry to IRs. And the vehicular equivalent, vehicle sanitising mats, cars would drive over certain mats that would sanitise the tyres. And some of these things don't really make sense now with what we know about the virus, but in the early days we didn't know, and it makes people feel good. On-site accommodation for IR staff. So instead of IR staff at the end of their shift maybe travelling a long distance home and then travelling back again, potential for catching COVID-19 during those times. Because hotel rooms were being used much, much less. There were lots of empty hotel rooms in IRs. Many IRs offered rooms to their staff for free to try to use those rooms up and to minimise the chance of staff catching COVID. All right, well, that's the end of part one, where I've explained quite a few of the techniques that we used and the tactics that we used during the COVID era, but we're coming out of COVID now. So part two, I'm going to talk about post-pandemic era strategy. So some of the things that we're noticing, and I'll go into this in a bit more depth, some of the things that we've been noticing. I'm back in Macau now, but I've just done a little bit of a tour of Asia after 935 days stuck in Macau from late February 2020 to mid-September 2022. I was able to get out in mid-September this year and go to Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, and the Philippines, where I visited Manila, Cebu, and Clark, and so visited a lot of different integrated resorts and just sort of saw what was happening in the post-pandemic era, talked to a lot of management about their thinking about post-pandemic. And now let's go through a few points that we've noticed, some trends we've noticed post-pandemic, and how integrated resorts are responding to those. So one massive sort of market dynamic change factor is there are no Chinese VIPs. The Chinese VIP was the lifeblood of many integrated resorts industries around Asia, but there's none because COVID's zero in China and nobody can travel outside of China. An associated factor of this was the demise of the junkets. The junket industry was decimated in Macau, and if you're a regular reader of IAG, you would know that. And all the junkets were sort of Macau-based, so it affected the junket industry all throughout Asia. So the confluence of these two factors, first of all, Chinese not being able to travel outside of China, and to this day they still can't, and the demise of the junket industry means basically there are no Chinese VIPs in the industry. So what's the response by IRs to that? Well, obviously, closure of offices facing mainland China, changing their staff that formerly were looking after hosts that were looking after mainland Chinese aren't needed anymore, and then redirecting VIP energy into what I describe as local VIP. So still casino rolling, chip rolling with a VIP focus, but maybe those players, instead of being players that travelled into the jurisdiction, they're players that already live in your country, in that IR's country. So the classic example are Chinese living in the Philippines, Chinese living in Cambodia, Chinese living in Singapore, that they become the new VIPs and that they come to your casino without having to cross a border to come into the country. Here's another market dynamic change factor we've noticed. We've noticed that there's a lot of Koreans swarming back into the casinos around Asia at the moment. I think Koreans have been kept out of the industry and haven't been able to travel. Of course, in Korea, there's only one locals casino, Gangwon Land, and Koreans basically have to travel outside of Korea to play. But it's been difficult throughout the pandemic to travel. But now it's easier for Koreans to travel. So we're seeing a lot of so-called revenge travel, catch-up travel. So Koreans seem to be swarming everywhere at the moment, which is great. So in some respects, the Koreans are the new Chinese. Not as much as the Chinese, but there are a lot of Koreans playing all throughout Asia. And the response to that by integrated resorts is hiring more casino hosts that speak Chinese, getting staff with Chinese language and cultural skills, altering their on-site amenities to the preferences of Koreans. Here's another market dynamic change factor we've been noticing. Far fewer, and in fact almost none, flag followers, what I call flag followers, which are tour groups, like in the picture in this slide. Tour groups that don't really play, they just follow a guide with a flag. They're low quality visitors, they don't spend very much, but they do make up the numbers. Basically, they're gone right now. They haven't come back yet. They'll be one of the last groups to come back. So people that have come back and are starting to travel again and to play and to visit casinos, they tend to be what I would describe as real players, higher quality players. So again, closure of mainland Chinese facing offices, because a lot of these tour groups come from China. Staff mix changes, not having staff that focus towards low value players, but increasing the focus on local VIP has been the response to that. Here's another factor, a lot more solo play, a desire for players to play in casinos in a lower density environment. So this has meant that players want to play more on slot machines, more on EGMs where they keep to themselves and keep away from other players, or perhaps if they do play on gaming tables, baccarat tables and the like, preferring to play on lower density tables with no crowds. So that means IRs have had to move more to EGMs, electronic gaming machines, slot machines, change the layout of their floor, perhaps put up protective barriers to create individual areas for people to feel as though they are playing on their own. I know the slot machine proportion of GGR in Macau, traditionally it's always been 6%. It's now moved to 9%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a 50% increase. So people are playing slot machines and EGMs more. Here's another market dynamic change factor we've been noticing, a preference for cashless. A lot of people don't want to carry cash because there's a perception that cash is dirty, physically dirty. And, you know, I touch the note, it goes somewhere else, somebody else touches it, then the cashier touches it, and there are germs on it. So cashless payment options are becoming more and more popular. Of course, this was already happening pre-pandemic, this move to cashless, but the pandemic has accelerated it. So the response of IRs to this has been to investigate new technologies. So just about every supplier company has been working on cashless, and also compliance departments are having to plan accordingly because this is going to create different compliance issues. Health concerns and COVID safety generally is another factor. So people are concerned, some people more than others. But a lot of people are concerned about their own personal health and personal safety as they're getting around. So IRs are having to respond to that by having PR campaigns. For example, Solaire in the Philippines has run a campaign, Solaire is safe for you. Having a highly visible cleaning on site. Firstly, to keep the site clean, but also as a bit of a PR effort so that people can see that there's a lot of cleaning going on. That's important too. And here's another factor that I just thought I would mention. It's not really a COVID factor, but it's a recent year factor. Over the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about AML, particularly in Australia. There's been a cautionary tale in Australia. A lot of Australian casinos have lost their licenses and have been allowed to continue to operate, but under the guidance of a monitor, hoping that they can retain suitability or regain suitability. So that's been quite dramatic, particularly in Australia. So that's something we're seeing in Australia, but I believe that that will move around all over the world and all over Asia. So integrated resorts, particularly those in Australia like Crown and Sky and Star, are having to hire more compliance staff, more risk monitoring staff, and also manage their public image, that they're not doing the wrong thing, and manage that social contract between the integrated resort and the community that it is in. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention and for listening. And for more information about the Asian gaming industry, please do visit Inside Asian Gaming. Our website is asgam.com, asgam.com. Thank you.
네, 여러분 큰 박수
So thanks for watching the
부탁드리겠습니다.
presentation. Thank you for your attention. And as I said at the start of the presentation, I'm very, very keen to be there in person in 2023. And I look forward to seeing you then. I hope you have a great conference and bye for now. Thank you.
네, 고맙습니다. 이렇게 마지막
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Scott, Vice Chairman of Inside Asian Gaming, Omedia Company Limited. He has talked about post-COVID-19 multinational IR response to the IR industry, and we'll make some changes on the stage for the panel discussion. So I would like to ask all the moderators and discussants to come up to the stage, and we'll start shortly as soon as the stage is ready.
네, 세션 1에 함께 해주실 좌장님과
I would like to ask the moderators and discussants to come up to the stage.
참석자 여러분께서는 잠시 후 저희 시작이 될 예정이니까요. 자리를 지켜
We are going to start very shortly.
We'd like to have our panelists onto the stage. We're almost ready to resume with a panel discussion of session 1. So panelists, please come up to the stage and please be seated. 네, 함께 해주실 연사님들께서는 무대 위로 지금 올라와 주시면 고맙겠습니다. 네, 여러분 아직 장내로 입장하지
Ladies and gentlemen, please come inside the room and I would like to ask you to take your seat.
the hall. We'll resume with session 1's panel discussion. So please enter the hall. Please be seated. 네, 여러분 준비된 다과 커피 가지고 들어오셔도 되니까요. 모두 착석을 해주시면 저희 바로 이어서 첫 번째 패널 디스커션 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 모두 착석해 주십시오. 네, 이제 모두
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are finally ready to start the panel discussion. So the theme of session 1 is Jeju's marketing strategies and management and support plans in the endemic era. And as you can see, we are joined by the moderator and panel discussants. We are joined by Professor Yoon Tae-Hwan, CEO Kang Do-young, General Manager Ick Don, President Lee Sangyoull, COO Flora, and from 랜딩카지노. And then the moderator is Professor Seok from Kyung University and also the chairman of Integrated Resort Tourism Research Center is joining us today.
네, 교수님 진행 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, 안녕하세요.
Professor Seok, can you hear me?
네. 첫 번째
So this is the first session, and we've had 2 presentations. And based on that presentation, we are going to carry out panel discussion. And before that, I would like to thank all the speakers for joining us today. And I would like to introduce you to the discussants. Based on the order of presentation, we have Professor Yoon Tae-Hwan from Dong-Eui University. Please give him a big round of applause. Professor Yoon has done a lot of research related to integrated resort, especially related to Busan city region. We do not have that many researchers in casino industry, but Professor Yoon is doing a great job of doing research in this field. Now I would like to introduce you to CEO Kang Do-young of Lautcompany. Nice to meet you all. The theme of today's session is casino marketing strategies for Jeju. And casino industry is strongly related to MICE industry and travel products. So we thought CEO Kang is the best person to deal with the theme. Thank you for joining us. And now I would like to introduce you to General Manager Ick Don from Grankorealeisure. General Manager Kim is doing the casino marketing at GKL. So he will talk about the specific case of GKL for Jeju's marketing strategy. Next, from IR Casino HR Development Institute, we have President Lee Sang-yeol. President Lee Sang-yeol has been working in Paradise, foreigner-only casino, and he has made a lot of contribution to the industry. Now, COO Flora from 랜딩카지노, please welcome her with a big hand. COO, Ms. Flora, we are alma mater. We studied at the same college. I'm sure we saw each other during college days, and she will talk about the marketing strategies for Jeju and share her insights or request for support policies to the Jeju provincial government. And before we start the discussion, well, Professor Dean and Stowe Shoemaker has talked about the case in Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is, of course, the city of casino, but it is an entertainment city now, and it is drawing a lot of tourists to Las Vegas. And the visitors to Las Vegas, of course, many of them go there to enjoy gaming, but those who do not enjoy game can also benefit from various shows, chef restaurants, and sports events. So they go to Las Vegas for a variety of reasons. Such integrated resorts through city marketing can bring in a lot more tourists to Las Vegas, which can also promote the gaming industry as well. Professor Shoemaker, in his presentation, said that there is a lot of commonality between Las Vegas and Jeju, and both regions are very important tourist attractions, tourist destination. So by utilizing the people who are visiting to those areas, there could be a lot more ways to generate revenue. And I would like to give the floor to Professor Yoon Tae-Hwan from Dong-Eui University first. Since you're the first panel discussant, you can share overall prospects about the casino industry and the tourism industry. So please, Professor Yoon, I give you the floor. Good afternoon. I'm Professor Yoon Tae-Hwan from Dong-Eui University. Professor Shoemaker, he was feeling very ill, but I think he has made a great presentation. And Vice Chairman Scott has also done a great job of going through the post-pandemic strategies for our industry. COVID-19 is not fully over yet, but as Professor Shoemaker has mentioned in his presentation, there is clear recovery in the tourism industry. Because of the COVID-19, there has been some negative impact on the economy around the world. And I think the dependency on tourism industry will deepen. This will also sharpen the competition between cities and countries to draw in more tourists. And the prospect for the Korean tourism market, I think the future is kind of bright because during the pandemic, there was a lot of increase in the impact and attention of Korean Wave. Parasite has received the Best Picture award from Oscar. Squid Game has won 4 Emmy awards. Blackpink and BTS, the Weird Attorney Woo Young-woo, they have gained worldwide popularity. And not just the culture, many people are showing interest in visiting Korea for tourism. What is noteworthy is that this phenomena is not limited to some Asian countries anymore. They are found in Europe, North America, Latin America. So K-wave has spread to all over the country. Some time ago, CNN has written a feature article about K-contents, Western women visiting Korea after watching K-contents. And it was titled Netflix Effect, Why Western Women Are Visiting Korea. So K-content, Hallyu, is not limited to Asian region anymore. It is all over the world. And this will have a big and positive impact on inbound tourists to not just to Jeju Island, but to all over the world. So this will definitely pave the way for quantitative growth, and we need to find a way to grow qualitatively as well, taking this opportunity. Casino industry, especially Jeju's casino industry. The situation is not so bright at the moment. Inside, well, junket-based Chinese VIP market must be recovered. It's a hurdle that we must overcome. Mr. Scott has talked about demise of junkets. The VIP market must be offset by mass market. And the importance of mass market will only grow going forward. But small and medium-sized casinos that Jeju has limited draw for mass market, and they're not internationally competitive given the current scale. And externally, there is a growth of integrated resorts in Japan. And in March of next year, a lot of important decisions will be made. By 2029, Japanese super-scale integrated resorts might open, and that will have a negative impact on the Jeju's casino industry. In order to overcome such major hurdles, and for Jeju's casino to be internationally competitive, we need to shift away from VIP-based marketing, and we need to diversify our market by increasing the mass market share. In order to draw in mass market tourists, we need to have integrated resorts. We have heard about the Las Vegas casino facilities with close connection with non-gaming industries as well. We could develop entire Jeju Island into one huge integrated resort by connecting various industries. and we can blend in casino industry and all the integrated marketing can be carried out. And smart services, smart mobility, smart platforms are gaining traction by leveraging various smart technologies. I think it will boost such strategies. And for mass tourism, casino is one of the things in tourism. And I agree with him. There are serious gamblers who come to casino only for gambling, but there are other leisure gamers who come here for various sightseeing, high quality of services. Such could be an important decision-making factor in deciding the destination. For casino industry to survive and prosper, we need competitive facility and the surrounding environment as well. In this regard, Jeju Island must go through consolidation of small and medium-sized casinos in Jeju so that they can all grow in scale. And last but not least, the casino industry requires high level of professionalism and specialization. Korean casino industry's laws and regulations are not meeting the global standards. And many experts point that out. In order to resolve that gap and in order to more efficiently manage casino industry in a way that makes our industry more competitive, we need specialized departments and specialized people who have the competency of managing the industry properly. I think Jeju Special Self-Governing Province integrating casino policy department into tourism department, I think, is going against the international trend. So I'm concerned about this restructuring in the Jeju Special Self-Governing Province. We need independent organization that is responsible for managing casino industry, that has the full authority in the field. I think that is the ideal direction. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Yoon. You have talked about the VIP marketing and ways to draw in more mass tourists and how Japan is preparing to build their integrated resorts, and that might have negative impact on Jeju's industry. And you have also raised the importance of having specialized organization and laws and regulations that meets the global standards. Of course, we need VIPs in casino industry, but mass market is also a very important part of casino industry, and Jeju needs to focus on mass public market as well. And he drew the case of Las Vegas. Jeju Convention Center is the venue that we are in for this forum. Las Vegas has also a variety of MICE facilities, and the MICE tourists can be brought in to Las Vegas, which in turn could create more gaming revenue. Next month, CES, the world's largest electronic exhibition, will be held in Las Vegas. And next year, they're going to start hosting Formula One and Premier League soccer, some of the soccer teams, games, and Final Four will be held in Las Vegas. And mass tourists will be visiting Las Vegas for that. Of course, VIP market is important for us, but it is also important to have mass tourists. And I would like to ask CEO Kang Do-young. Of course, it is important to bring in mass customers. And for a long time, MICE and tourism travel agency, you have worked in those travel agencies trying to bring in more mass tourists.
Hello, everyone. I was just introduced by the moderator. In relations with the travel and MICE, I've been working for a long time, and frankly speaking, COVID-19 was quite lengthy difficulties. Almost 2 or 3 years it continued. And during that time, not only casino industry, but also the tourism industry, the ecosystem itself is on the brink of collapse. And as the ecosystem is about to be revived in that process, I believe that the crisis that we are faced with will be more difficult and also unprecedented that we have never seen before. So overall, including casino industry, the tourism industries, the transportations, and other auxiliary industries, yes, they are all faced with a huge challenge. And as we are slowly recovering, sometimes the supply exceed the demand, and still we have a lot of things to do. If you look at Jeju Island, the international flights were resumed starting from June. So it's been about 5 months ever since the flights have been resumed. And there are 16 casinos in Korea, and the players, mostly inbound and outbound, and I understand their characteristic. Before COVID-19, yes, players mostly were outbound, going to Las Vegas or Macau, and we had a great difficulty in attracting inbound tourists because of the facility in Korea. Even if we have 16 casino venue, still there weren't much differentiation. So we had some difficulties, and I believe that we need to differentiate those 16 casinos. And Professor Seok asked me about the questions in relations with the MICE and casino industry. Well, my response to that would be a bit different things. Although there are things that we have never ventured enough, but I believe that this is a way to go, as other speakers already mentioned. COVID pandemic is most disruptive incident that has never experienced by the human being, and we have no idea how it will unfold in the future. No one can dare to predict the future. What does it mean? It means, including myself, everyone who are here today, we do have our own aspirations and wishes, but to arrive in that destinations, we need to work harder. Let me share with you my personal views. Casino industries, mostly people go there because of the incentive tour, and for the PCO, they go there for the international conventions. The biggest satisfaction level is achieved by golf, second, casino. Why? Golf, you know why? Because most of the managers and executive members, they play golf and they do the business together. However, in case of casino, the satisfaction level is high because so-called the big spender, they would like to stay in a very expensive place and also a very special place, and then they can also consolidate their business relationship, and the casino place itself is quite comfortable. You feel great because of the atmosphere. That is why the satisfaction level is really high. And also the destination marketing is very important. When we do MICE marketing, we recommend different places. We don't ask for the repeated visit, mostly once in 5 years or once in 7 years, for example. When we have a special meeting in Jeju, we re-invite them once after 5 to 7 years. However, in case of the casino, then they visit more frequently. So in case of Jeju Island, during the pandemic period, I apologize for specifically mentioning special casino. Dream Casino had a great difficulty in opening its facility, but it's very encouraged. In case of Landing Casino within SHOEMAKER, many Chinese visitors went there with their high satisfaction level. So when we try to track inbound tourists, SHOEMAKER was their top priority, but now people talk about Dream Casino. So in light of that, I believe that policy-wise, Or, in a way, the authorities' expectation is that, as it was mentioned by Andrew Scott, Macau, they have this junket industry's closure, and also all the demand that concentrated in Macau will convert to Jeju or Korea because of the K-wave as well. And I believe that this can become our great opportunity. However, the greatest stumbling block is that Korea is surrounded by ocean. And in order to come to Korea, it's either cruise ship or plane, but I believe the cruise ship resumption is being delayed. Of course, international flights are resumed, but we need to have more frequent flyers coming to Jeju or to Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. We need to operate chartered flight to and from Hong Kong and Macau, as Hong Kong and Macau does, because there's a lot of demand, and I'm sure that casino players will come back. In that sense, MICE industries also wouldn't have a charter flight, or because the plane ticket is so expensive, they don't come. But if we change that, definitely we can enjoy win relationship. Shinha or Dream Casino, all those MICE customers or clients, they visit to different cities when they come to Korea, but not anymore. Mostly they stay at one place and enjoy themselves. So they prefer to stay at Shinha World, where the casinos are located. So it's not actually an integrated resort, but a place where different facilities are located so that they can experience different things, and they can also extend their stay. In light of that, I believe MICE and casino need to be connected, and then if we do the marketing, it will be very efficient. And also China, up until now, was very important customers, but during the COVID-19, China has conducted zero COVID policy. So now we have customers from other places like Mongolia. During the pandemic, Vietnam or Mongolia, especially the high-ranking government officials, they come to Korea, they visited casino. You have seen the statistic, right? During the pandemic, the big casino places, they also had some GGR. Of course, it was deficit, but still, starting from next year, we believe that deficit will turn into black, and there will be a greater GGR, I believe. So we hope that the government can adopt no visa, and especially the visa issuance is the biggest stumbling block. Another example is that from Thailand, a charter flight arrived, and of course, there were some legal issues, but all of these people could not land because of the visa issues. They all left without even setting a foot in Korea. This is quite embarrassing. Same thing. And starting July, if it is very difficult to book bus or tour or hotel, and I believe that the government need to adopt a different policy, especially Jeju is a no visa place, especially Southeast Asian countries, tourists can come without getting visa. So if Korean government revamp its laws and regulation, that would be very helpful to attract more inbound tourists. That's my comment. Thank you. Yes, CEO Kang Do-young is actually involved in the real business world, and he has his own experience. Thank you for sharing your own experience. We understand what kind of marketing strategy we need to implement. I believe that his views are well taken. In case of Dream Tower, they have utilized charter flight to attract inbound tourists. And Professor Tae-Hwan and CEO Kang Do-young, they are not working in the casino industry. However, they are outsiders, but they express their views.
Now, the three speakers, we are actually from the industry, so they will share more specifics with us. First, from Grandscorealeisure, General Manager Kim. The floor is yours.
팀을 담당하고 있는 김익돈입니다. 카지노에 종사한 지 27, 8.
I've been in the casino industry for 27 years now, And it's a great honor for me to be part of this Jeju International Casino Policy Forum. It's a great opportunity to share my opinion and listen to the opinions of others. The theme of main session was Jeju's marketing strategy for endemic era, and I'm sure you would be interested in marketing cases of GKL. And what I want to mention is that GKL is a public company that operates casino under the Ministry of Sports Tourism. And in our marketing efforts, through marketing efforts, we need to create profits and also achieve public interest as a public company. So we need to find the nexus that can achieve both of them. And we are always looking for the best marketing strategy for this purpose. And we have to target mass customers and VIP customers, how we are going to market towards those categories of the market. First, mass market. In order to bring in more mass market customers, we are working closely with tourism-related agencies and 4 branchy casinos, and they are organizing and operating a consultative body. We are working with Korea Tourism Organization, Korea Tourism Foundation, and Visit Korea Committee, and we are participating in all exhibitions, home and abroad, to promote our casinos and also attract customers who are participating in these exhibitions. And we are also going overseas. And as COVID-19 winds down, we are beginning to visit Southeast Asian countries and working with FIT customers by installing booths, introducing our casinos, working together with local travel companies, developing tourism products. And we thought that we need to bring in more tourists first. And then we are working with related tourism organizations and with Seoul Tourism Foundation. We have this full autonomous Discover Seoul pass card that foreigners use frequently, and we have affiliation with Seoul Tourism Foundation to draw in more foreign customers. And by affiliating Korea Tour Card, we are acquiring casino visitors. So by working together with related organizations, we are bringing in more foreign visitors. And in the case of COEX, it's where MICE events happen very frequently, and we participate in these MICE events, providing free coupons to inbound tourists. And we are also checking how effective this marketing strategy is. And we recognize the importance of MICE events, so we are aggressively participating in those events and marketing and promoting our facilities. In the case of COEX, we have created a consultation body called COEX MICE Plus. By working through this consultation body, we are promoting 7 lock casinos, and we are participating in various events to bring in more foreign visitors. And one more thing about MICE industry. As of January 2023, Gangbuk Hilton Casino, as of January 1st next year, it will move to Dragon City Hotel in Yongsan. So by operating COEX MICE cluster, we are recognizing the importance of this, and the stakeholders of Yongsan Tourism Organization got together, and then they decided to develop a consultation body, and GKL took the lead, and 7 organizations are now have organized working with Korail, iPark Mall, HDC, Sheila Duty Free Store, and we have launched a consultation body, and next year there will be more tour products developed for Yongsan tourism ecosystem, and through that ecosystem, we are going to promote 7 Luck casinos. So I have talked about how we are marketing for mass customers and for our VIP customers. We need to market our offerings in relations with tourism. 7 Luck Casino is not an integrated casino. It's an urban casino. So we can be connected to urban tourism ecosystem, trying to satisfy VIP customers. And we thought about 7 Luck mileage that we provide to our customers. As for the details of how this mileage is used, we can analyze that and analyze the consumption patterns of our customers for our mileage, what kind of preference they have. By analyzing that, we are going to develop a system called 7 Dream. And for those customers or those facilities that have 7 Dream certification, we are going to certify them, and that will help them increase their profit generation, and the customers can benefit by experiencing higher level of services. And in order to attract VIP customers, we have tried to focus on the theme of game industry to attract VIPs. But we need to diversify our strategies to attract VIP customers in line with tourism. We can think about national events like Seoul Shopping Festa, Korea Self Festa, Seoul Firecracker Festa, Busan Light Show Festa. We can promote such national events to VIPs. And that's how we are attracting VIPs to visit Korea. And we need to promote our brand in attracting our customers. During the pandemic, we could not do much promotion, but we started online promotion. During the pandemic, as a public organization, we could not actively attract gaming customers, but in this post-COVID era, we need to prepare for their return to Korea. And we have planned Korea Culture Experience Team. Participated Korean students were foreign students studying in Korea. So foreign students from 19 countries and from 16 tourism destinations. We have produced 26 video contents, and we are using that video for online promotion and marketing. And inside our companies, we are operating SNS supporting team so that we can promote our casinos and also promote nearby tourist attractions and traditional markets located near our casinos. And I've talked about mass market and VIP customers. The basics of marketing, I think, is advertisement and promotion. They are the basis for all marketing activities. So we need to know what kind of casinos are located. But because of this negative image of speculative industry, we are restricted on how we can promote and advertise ourselves, especially when it comes to outdoor advertisement. Of course, there has been some changes in our advertisement law so that casino industry is now categorized as a speculative industry, and we are prohibited from carrying out outdoor advertisement. But there has been some court decisions that allows us to use existing marketing campaigns. But as for new marketing campaigns, there is a lot of restrictions. I think the situation is more or less the same for Jeju. We have Jeju City, Seok Port City, and Jeju has many casinos. But no matter where you go in Korea, you cannot see casinos. You can only hear about the casinos. And there is no way to find out exactly where a foreigner-only casino is located because we cannot do any outdoor advertisement. So we need to find a way to deregulate that and exempt casinos from this kind of regulation. And if we can do that, that will definitely promote tourism industry. And one more thing, I've talked about our cooperation with related tourism-related organizations. I know Jeju's airline, casino, duty-free industries are all suffering, and there are many stakeholders to these industries that are heavily dependent on inbound tourists. It's important for those organizations to get together and establish a consultation or cooperative body so that they can present a united front. Thank you very much. Thank you, General Manager Kim Ick Don. So you have talked about mass marketing, VIP marketing, and mass market marketing. And you have shared your mass marketing strategy, establishing consultation body with related organizations. GKL is working with Korea Tourism Organization, Seoul Tourism Foundation, and next year has been declared as a Visit Korea year. So there will be a lot of national level strategies to bring in inbound customers. And then GKL is located in COEX. So they are called urban casinos. And COEX complex in Samsung area, it has all the qualifications and meets the conditions of an integrated resort. They have the hotel, theme parks, and casino. So it's a cluster. So you can come out with mass marketing strategy leveraging the clusters. Jeju Casino, I believe, has a consultation body. But they are not actively functioning now. Jeju Tourism Organization exists, but there has been limited progress in carrying out joint marketing strategy with them. For mass marketing, there are some things that Jeju can try, and for VIP marketing, You can, in the past, we used to have some kind of events like Baccarat event to attract VIPs, but GKL is leveraging various national projects or events such as Korea fireworks festivals. So I think Jeju can review that possibility. And he also proposed an idea about communication and marketing. And there is some unreasonable regulation for outdoor advertisement for casino industry. And we have to propose and identify how unreasonable that is and talk to the government about that. I would like to move on to the next presenter, President Lee Sang-yeol of IR Casino HR Development Institute. He is also a member of Jeju Casino Regulatory Commission. President Lee, I think, based on his frontline experience, will give us insight on what Jeju can do.
So I'm handing microphone over. Yes, hello everyone. I'm Lee Sang-yeol. Originally, I have received questions from Professor Seok about the strategy and management support plan, and also all the answers were already given. So instead of separating the questions, I will mix them. Yesterday, I arrived Jeju. I've been visiting Jeju numerous times, and whenever I come here, I didn't know there are so many theme parks and also so many hotels. It really awakened me. And then compared to Singapore, what are the differentiating points? And many speakers already talked about Las Vegas and then compared Las Vegas to Jeju. And I believe that Jeju and Singapore are like an apple to apple. We can compare that. Now, we are entering into endemic period and we need to prepare ourselves for the new era. However, amid endemic era, the companies and also academia, the institutions, they have their own roles to play, and we need to make sure to play our roles and responsibilities. For the first time in Northeast Asia, the first casino was built, and I have worked in that facility for the first time. And based on that experience, I am working in the actual field. So my actual working experience made me realize that there are things that are not well delivered, and also I'm trying to teach students to make them realize what are the things that needs to be improved. If you look at Jeju, Jeju is endowed with many natural resources and is blessed with many benefits. On top of that, Jeju is meeting with a new trend, which is the integrated resort that started from 2018 with a Dream Tower built in Korea. And I believe that there are only 2 integrated resorts in Korea, and one of that is in Jeju Island. So once again, integrated resort is working as a new tourism asset, and Jeju is very active in attracting tourism industry. And at this juncture, why are we having Jeju International Casino Policy Forum? Why are we discussing about new policies? It's because it's extremely important to revitalize casino industry. That is why we are all gathered here. However, the way to revitalize marketing, when I work at a company, there were things that I wanted to make sure that it would never happen again. And I believe that based on that, we can actually develop an active marketing strategy. As I mentioned before, within Jeju Island, there are integrated resorts, and also we have GKL, 2 GKL in Seoul and 1 in Busan, and Jeju is competing with them, which means that it's a waste of energy. What I mean by that is, before, when we try to conduct the integrated marketing activity, we have to make sure that there are other things like golf, or there are other things like horse ridings or other natural resources, and also the gaming industry development. Those can be additional benefits so that people can extend their stay here and the satisfaction level can be heightened. Based on that, definitely the customer satisfaction can be greater and the company can enjoy huge profits. In 2017, when we tried to open an integrated resort, using one integrated resort facility, all the VIPs, customers, not only in Korea but also in the world, we try to invite them and ask their views so that we can make sure to make integrated resort in a more substantiated one. And we have received really high feedbacks and compliments. So based on that, we try to develop our own marketing strategies. Other than that, currently, as many speakers already mentioned, within Jeju Island, there are other benefits. But frankly speaking, if you look at Korea, the casino, other than Gangwon land, it's exclusive for foreign tourists or foreign players. However, not a single foreign tourist come, which means that these casino facilities cannot be operated. And 99% of the airplane operated to and from Jeju is actually domestic airlines, which means the international flight need to be boosted more, and definitely we need to make an environment where more foreign tourists can arrive. So before we improve our ecosystem, what we need to do is not only do we have to target the Korean customers, but we need to target the mass customers or mass tourists that can come from other countries. And I believe we have with us COO Flora Fu and also other people working in the casino industry. They understand that how important it is. And I'm sure they are working so hard to improve the ecosystem. I think it was yesterday, and before yesterday, there were other events trying to attract more people, right? And when we try to deploy a certain measures, that means that all the rights and responsibilities are given to the companies, whether it is Shinhwaworld or Dream Tower. They're working so hard to survive, and they're redoubling their efforts to revitalize their business. And we need to take into consideration how we can support them. How can we support them? What are the roles to be played by the companies? And what about the government? We need to understand that. Frankly speaking, the companies, they need to create an environment where we can attract tourists and then make them revisit places. And we need to meet their demands, and we need to build a new facilities so that the satisfaction level can be heightened. We need to play more active role. When I say we means companies or enterprises. And also companies, they need to commensurate and comply with laws and regulations. They must have a strong willingness and determination. So the foremost things that the companies need to do is, what are the laws and regulations? How can we comply with that? And they need to ask the views to the academia and to the relevant organizations. What are the things that the companies need to do? And the academia and the research institute, they need to give advices to the companies so that all of them can make a concerted efforts. So unless the companies take initiative, nothing can be done. So companies, they need to take initiatives in working hard, and the companies are operating integrated resort. And I briefly mentioned that there is an event, right? Having only one integrated resort and they are hosting an event, that's like going to Marina Bay in Singapore. And if you go to Marina Bay, there's an infinity pool in Singapore, and itself is a huge tourism asset. Itself is a tourism complex. So how can we connect all of these tourist sites and destinations? And when we make this interconnected and then build another tourist facility, then companies can definitely attract greater number of the tourists. So that's the way that the companies can do. Then what can the government do? the agencies, the academia, the government, how can we support the companies? Yes, many ways. So let's take a look at one by one. The agencies or research institute, the companies need to make a request to the government or to the agency, and the government and agency need to make sure that these stumbling blocks can be eliminated. As I mentioned before, in order to boost the casino industry in Jeju Island, the government should allow more flights be operated, maybe a special support to the airliners or to the airport so that more frequent airplanes can be taking off or arrive, or the casinos located within Jeju Island. We need to differentiate that. Well, Dream Tower, we call this integrated resort, but it's far from actually the integrated resort classifications. What I mean by that is SHOEMAKER and Dream Tower, these two companies, and also the hotels and the company, they need to receive more support from the government or from the agencies so that they can truly become integrated resort. But then how can the government provide support? The government needs to provide a differentiated support. We have two integrated resort, and these two integrated resort needs to differentiate it themselves. Agencies within the integrated resort, there is a casino. If the government only look at economic effect, the support will be limited. For example, the integrated resort needs to reestablish itself as the best tourist destination or facilities. And so that a repeated visit can occur, and only by having repeated visitors, Jeju can become a true sense of the most favored destination, tourist destination. And then the integrated resort, why isn't the government tourism organization actively support them? Instead of just using that as GPA, the Korean Tourism Organization needs to make sure to publicize and advertise the Korean integrated resort. And such support can give a huge energy. What about academia? What can the schools or academia do? For example, Sinhaworld came into being in Jeju Island. It's important for schools to be willing to deliver accurate information about the ripple effect of the foreigners, not only casinos, but key facility within IR. For example, the actual information spread must be done. So accurate delivery of the effect must be done. In many areas, the academia can do a great things. For example, the student who studies tourism or another sector, they are working in these sectors. So the economic ripple effect in the Jeju province, such as regional development, economic revitalizations, and tax revenue expansions as a result of the opening IR in the province, needs to be well delivered, well spread. And you understand how important the IR is. But the casino that allows domestic or Koreans, and also the casino industry that allow foreigners, what kind of differentiation that have? For example, in Jeju, all the casino are exclusively for foreigners. It's not for Koreans. However, the casino facilities, if you have the perspective, that's a limited viewpoint. It's a microscopic view, and you need to segregate your views toward the Korean-only casinos and foreigners-only casinos. And that role must be played by schools or academia, so that delivering the facts about the lack of cases of the social side effect and foreigner-only casino can cause in Korea, we need to enhance the public's awareness. In 2019, I joined this casino policy forum. This is my third year to join the forum. What do I mean by that? I mean, I've been repeating myself for 3 years consecutively. I sincerely hope that next year I wouldn't repeat myself. So my main message is IR can contribute at the minimum 1 trillion, at the maximum 10 trillion of economic effect. one of the Saudi Arabia prince visited, and he said that he's building a smart city that accounts for 40 trillion won, and all the largest conglomerates leaders have joined. And integrated resort is like a huge cities. Then the academia, the companies, the agencies, the government, they need to prepare. They need to make sure that they have their own roles to play. Once again, I am very honored to take part in the policy forum, and thank you for giving me the chance to speak up. Especially my gratitude goes to the casino regulatory commissions and also to the council. Thank you.
네,
Thank you, President Lee. You have talked about the role of companies and how to leverage the integrated resort facilities, and have emphasized the importance of non-gaming facilities. And in the case of Macau, in order to increase the number of casino tables, they always connect that to the non-gaming facilities. And administrative support from the government. In the case of Jeju, most of the flight is domestic flight, and only 1% comes from international airline, and we do not have enough business seats, so it's difficult to attract international travelers, and have expanding the airline route is important, and the Ministry of Land, Tour and Transportation can reflect on this. And differentiation of casinos so that they can have unique capabilities. And they were very insightful comments about the Jeju casino industry and the importance of academia. And I felt like I was given a huge homework based on your comments. And I believe that we need to do more research into the contribution of casino industry in the tourism industry of Korea. I'm somewhere between the private industry and the public sector. So Professor Yoon and myself, who study and research casino industry, should actively promote casino industry and also be able to speak on behalf of the industry, pressure the central government into doing what we need for the industry. Next, I would like to give the floor to COO Flora Pu from 랜딩카지노. She is actually operating an integrated resort in Jeju Island. So she might also have some requests to the Jeju government about some of the specific support. So Ms. Flora Pu.
Professor Seok, 안녕하십니까? Good afternoon. My name is Flora. I've worked in Las Vegas, Macau, and now is my worked 4 years in Jeju. Jeju to me, before I came to Jeju, I looked it up in the internet. It says it's the Hawaii of South Korea. I thought that was pretty attractive. Okay, so earlier we talked about casino is tourism. You know, we are in the people business. I want to talk about the people that including the employees of the casino, the IRs, and the tourism, the tourists, the travelers. Okay, the challenges right now we have is not recruiting employees. I think a lot of countries, regions are also experience the same thing. But I'm not going to go into the discussion about the shortage of manning. I'm sure there's a lot of HR experts in this room. We'll go into a further discussion on that. So talking about customers, travelers. Okay, we also talk about the challenges of international flights coming into Jeju, direct flights coming into Jeju. I want to share some fun facts with you guys. The busiest airport, international airport, is between KL and Singapore. And they host about 400,000 seats per month in Jeju and Gimpo. These are the busiest domestic flights airport that are hosting 1.2 million seats per month. Okay, I look at that number, I go, well, if I can have half of it in international travelers, that would really help our business here, especially for a foreigners-only casino. And by saying that, Jeju government do have the plan for second airport, and I am hoping that project is ongoing, and the government can understand the sense of urgency that we need that second airport, because right now the Jeju airport is running at its maximum capacity and mostly carrying domestic travelers. Okay, so we also talk about mice. Okay, the study shows that 50% of the mice will make up 50% of the revenues in terms of rooms and F&Bs and the travelers, international travelers. And that is also some resources that we need for mice travelers to come visit our IR. Okay, Jeju is the second largest mice venue in Jeju. Of course, the ICC, Jeju is the first one, is the largest one. And we also focusing our MICE venue to bring more international business and, you know, talking about mass gaming. You know, that's where we get the customers. You come in for your MICE event, you come in for your theme park, water park, and, you know, there's casino downstairs. You know, that's a lot of attractions in the IR. So we talk about business travelers. Now, when I talk about leisure travelers, okay, Vegas, you know, is a desert. There's nothing much going on, but what happened is all those integrated resorts, they build their own entertainments. If you go to the Las Vegas Strip, you see volcanoes in front of a mirage. You see fountains, this 8.5 acre of man-made lake in front of Bellagio. And you've seen the pirate show in front of the Treasure Island, and also Fremont Street Experience in downtown Las Vegas. Those are all the entertainments that Las Vegas is trying to do to put some colors in that, you know, and a city of entertainments. And in Jeju, we did this, we incorporate the ideas also. We do have fireworks shows, light shows. We do some concerts. In the future, we're planning some sports events as well. These are the marketing tools that we'll be using to attract customers, attract travelers. No matter your traveling purpose is business or leisure, that's, you know, what we need in our integrated resort, and it's also what Jeju need for the you know, travelers. Okay, so want to talk about, you know, we have some experts here talking about VIP gamers. The weather is very different now with the situations in Macau. So a lot of casinos in Korea has already shifted their market from China to Southeast Asia, Taiwan, and the closest to us is Taiwan and Japan. And I think we have changed that mentality of thinking about casino is all about VIP players. In my personal opinion, we want to also focus on mass gaming, those we call leisure gamers. Okay, the leisure gamers will be coming from the ideas of, you know, like in Jeju, we have so many beautiful places, like the Songsan or Hala Mountain. and golf is one of them, and the entertainments here as well. So, you know, for people to come into Jeju, they have this luxury of, you know, this nature sceneries, and also the integrated resort that providing them different type of entertainments. When I talk about entertainments, I like to see casino as one of the entertainments. You know, just I encourage the customers, hey, you know, it's not a thing when you play, okay? It's a game, it's an entertainment. Just like you spend the money to go to the movie theater to watch a movie, or you spend the afternoon in the golf course, okay? As long as you have a budget, when you come into the casino, this can be an entertainment. And this is also one of our responsible gaming campaign. And, you know, I like to joke about this with my customers. It's not how big you play, it's how long you can last the fun. So by saying that, I am trying to take the initiative to change the mindset of gambling. It's not about big, you know, those VVIP coming here, play like there's no tomorrow. I like them to come in, enjoy themselves, and you know, have more trips. I don't like to see customers disappear in 2 years because they're, you know, abusive gamblers. So I think this is going to be the trend, and I hope this is going to be the trend. So the casino business can really prolong their business, and with a healthier image of you know, being an entertainment business. And that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
네, 감사합니다.
Thank you. Miss Flora Pu is actually operating 랜딩카지노 in Jeju Island. She has shared many insights, and she has emphasized the need for second airport in Jeju, and also for business travel. She has emphasized the importance of MICE industry, and has emphasized that SHOEMAKER has the second largest MICE facility in Jeju. And for leisure travel, we can introduce something like Las Vegas, various entertainment contents that Las Vegas offers. And JSW is making similar efforts. And casino itself can be an important entertainment, just like golf or movies. So people can spend a certain amount of money, just like they pay money for playing golf. So it's a great way of entertaining leisure gamers. And that should be the desirable trend, and also for rebranding the casino industry of Jeju. She definitely has a lot of insight and experience about Jeju's casino industry. And I will give the microphone to Professor Yoon. He is kind of relaxed, so I want to catch him off guard. Professor Yoon, we talked about various things, about the facilities, environment of Jeju Island. And now, if Japan has its own casinos, what would be the unique competitiveness of Jeju's casinos? Jeju's casino industry, before I talk about their competitiveness, I want to talk about the policy directions. Jeju's casino industry, I think the biggest problem or bottleneck for Jeju's casino industry is that there is a government perspective to look at casino industry as something that should be regulated strongly. It's not seen as a part of tourism industry. It is seen not as a tourism industry. For Jeju's casino industry to grow, I'm sure many people will agree about this. Casino industry should be seen as a part of tourism industry, and just like golf, MICE, business travel. So by collaborating with other areas of tourism industry, as Professor Shoemaker has mentioned, it should be a part of the holistic tourism experience. And Jeju has a very strong competitiveness in this way. As Ms. Flora Pu has mentioned, Jeju is seen as Hawaii of Korea. We are blessed with our natural environment, so that can be blended in with our MICE facilities, casino industry as a total package. And that will really develop the potential of Jeju. Jeju itself could be a huge integrated resort. So we need to find a way to connect all the natural and various tourist resources that Jeju has. But unfortunately, Jeju's casinos are foreigners only. But in spite of that, there is too much negative perception of the industry as something that should be avoided and shunned. As we have seen the cases in Las Vegas, Singapore, Macau, the casinos can be a part of IR's integrated resorts. And they can actually have a positive impact on the image or perception of the city. So this rebranding or change of perception and changing the perception of the local residents can be really helpful in creating a more positive image of not just the casino industry, but for the entire tourism industry of Jeju Island. So what I'm saying is that it is important to have sort of an integrated tourism product, like using the casino industry as part of the tourist pass or providing a one-stop point that can lead to all kinds of tourist experience. And we always talk about regulation and supervision when it comes to casino industry, but it should be something that should be encouraged and fostered. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Yoon. You have talked about the importance of joint marketing with other tourist industry, and I think Grand Korea, Mr. Ick Don, has given us some answers, like creating various consultation bodies, like the one in COEX and in Yongsan. And he said that he's working together with related tourist organizations. And as I've commented before, Jeju has casino industry consultation body. And they have this consultation body for the casino industry, but when it comes to how to utilize the body for marketing, we still don't have a clear understanding or idea. And joint marketing is something that we discussed last year. And the speaker from Jeju Tourism Organization joined us and talked about various promotional strategies. But theoretically, it's difficult to mix that with Jeju's casino industry. So I would like to give the microphone to General Manager Ick Don and talk about the points that Jeju can refer to. Give us some guidelines about how we can handle this. In Jeju and Seoul, well, of course, the surrounding environments of our casinos are quite different between Seoul and Jeju. But we participate in various exhibitions and distribute coupons, and we analyze the result of that coupons. And then we can have clear idea of what kind of exhibitions tend to be most effective for our marketing purposes. And Jeju hosts a lot of international conventions, and it will host even more conventions. So if you can introduce same practice, I think it will be helpful. And I would like to mention one more thing. Based on my knowledge of Jeju region, Japan is closest area to Jeju. As for flight route, there are not many flights between Jeju and Japan. And actually, many Korean people from Japan have moved to Jeju. And not many people are traveling between Jeju and Japan now. So because of that, there is very little flights available between Japan and Jeju. So it's important for Jeju to develop its own contents to attract more people from Japan to visit Jeju. It could create sort of a virtuous cycle. So I think content development is needed. Thank you for your point about the need to develop targets, contents. We've had a lot of discussion. I'm sure we have a lot more things to discuss, but I'm sure Jeju's casino industry, in overcoming this pandemic, we have talked about various ways to recover the industry post the pandemic, and based on many surveys, the Jeju people tend to have neutral, not negative, not positive. Actually, they are not interested in casino industry in general. So through joint marketing, we need to make sure that casino helps the tourism industries to grow and vice versa. So it's going to be a win-win ecosystem. And I would like to wrap up this discussion now. Thank you. I would like to thank all the panelists. And this concludes this session. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the panelists and moderator, Professor Tae-Hwan Seok. This concludes the first session. Now, outside in the lobby, we have coffee and cookies and tangerines. I hope you enjoy the networking time. And we will start the next session at 3:50. So we'll see you at 3:50. Thank you very much.